Hi, and a big welcome to all the Rise High community out there. Today, we're coming live to you with a very special Facebook Live. I've got Karen Eli here from Women Talking Finance, and we are going to be having a really interesting chat about money mindset and how to improve your relationship with money. So I'm super excited that you're here, Karen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Marissa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we get into it, we've got a lot of really good content planned for today's session. But before we get into it, just a few shout outs. Firstly, a big thank you to all of our wonderful, amazing clients and community. For those of you who don't know, Rise High Financial Solutions recently took out the award for Best Mortgage Broker Business in the country for the second year in a row and the third time overall. So we are super pumped about that, and that wouldn't be possible without the support of our clients. We've also got a couple of seminars coming up which are filling fast. We've only got a few spots left. We've got a first home buyers seminar tomorrow night and a property investment seminar focused on how to choose the right investment property next Tuesday night. So if you're interested in those, we've only got a couple of spots left in those ones. Hop onto our website to register for those. So now on to the very exciting topic of what we're talking about today, which is money mindset, how to improve your relationship with money. And I asked Karen to join us because she's an expert in this field, and she's going to provide lots of gems, lots of nuggets of gold today in the session, and super pumped that she's here. I first met Karen, we came together because we have a mutual interest in financial literacy, and in particular in empowering females. And that we obviously had that shared interest in common, which drew me to her. And I find what Karen works on really, really interesting, and she's got a really interesting perspective to share, which I think is so important. So I'll let Karen explain a little bit about herself, but just before she does, she has been in the financial services space for 20 years, and 14 of those as a financial planner, and now she's got this great business called Women Talking Finance. So thanks for joining us again, Karen. It's really great to have you here.
Thanks, Marissa. It's great to be here. Hi, everyone.
So tell us about Women Talking Finance and what you actually do now, and why the transition to out of financial planning, I guess, into more of a mindset business.
Sure. So as Marissa said, I was a financial advisor for 14 years, been in the industry for 20 years, providing advice for individuals around wealth creation and managing their money. And I loved it. I found it a very rewarding career and job to do with helping clients manage their money. But there was almost a sense of frustration around, clients would come in and we'd set up a plan for them, and it'd be like, you do this, you do that, and then bang, you get those financial results that you're looking for or that you're aspiring to achieve. And we'd put that in place, but then clients would come back for a review 6 or 12 months later, and they hadn't followed the plan. They'd sort of deviated or done things that were actually putting them back rather than putting them forward and keeping them on the track. And I got really curious as to why people do what they do with money. And then I discovered this whole field about 7 or 8 years ago in behavioural finance and psychology around money. So I started studying that and observed some different ways that I could help clients on a very different level than just the practical side of things. So recently I left my financial planning practice to set up my business, Women Talking Finance. So it's very much around looking at the emotional relationship that people have with money and helping them more on the internal side of money rather than the external side. And then that together with what Marissa was saying before about financial literacy. So, we're not taught how to manage money at school, and unless we had parents that we could model that were really great role models, it's sort of where do we pick up how to learn how to manage our money? So that's what our business does.
And definitely in our business as well, we see lots of people that also have really good intentions, and they have really clear actions and goals, and they know exactly what they need to do. It's a bit like losing weight. You have to exercise and eat better. It's a bit, if you want to improve your situation with money, you have to keep more of your money and save and invest. But the actual reality of doing those things requires a real mindset that actually embraces the actions, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. So that's what I'm really excited to share with you today.
So I guess we've touched on this, but can we just elaborate a bit further? why is it so important to have a healthy mindset and a healthy relationship to money in terms of actually achieving your financial goals?
Yeah, sure. So I might actually start by explaining what is a mindset. So a mindset is actually a collection of all of our thoughts and beliefs. So that is where we start from. And those that mindset or those thoughts and beliefs that we have actually determine our feelings. So whatever you think causes you to feel something or have an emotion. And then that emotion drives our behaviour. So whether we take action or don't take action, do we take positive action or negative action, it's all because of that feeling. And then you and I both know that if you want the financial results that you're wanting to achieve, you have to take action.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
A lot of people, yeah, you can't just manifest.
You can't just have a plan. There has to be some action after that plan.
Yeah, there's going to be some doing there. So the problem is that most people start with the doing, with the action and working on that part, but you've got to go back to what emotions are being felt, and that is driven by what you actually think about money. So that's why money mindset is really important. And if I could give an example to explain, because it's a hard concept to get your head around, our thoughts create our feelings drive our actions, and our actions drive our results. So it's a 4-step process.
So having that right money mindset, I guess, will then enable you to be able to take the actions that's going to get the results effectively.
Correct. Yeah.
Because, one of the things I find really interesting is that for some people this comes really naturally. For some people, money management and having the right money mindset comes really naturally, and they're very driven to take the actions that will achieve the results. And then there's other people that actually find it a challenge. And it's not because of lack of trying, it's not because of lack of desire to achieve those outcomes.
It's actually a limiting belief that they have about money.
And what does that stem from? Like, do you think that stems from, their childhood? Like, where does that limiting belief come from? And because I'm sure there's people watching today that might feel that way. They might be in that category where they think, whatever I do, I just can't get ahead with, financially. So what would you say in terms of that limiting belief, how that, I guess, starts, and then how people can work towards getting rid of those limiting beliefs that will actually help them move past?
So you're right.
What's blocking
it
them?
Definitely starts from childhood. So if you think between the ages of 5 and 12, as children, we just are sponges. We're like recording devices. We just absorb everything that we hear and see. So it all goes back to what you experienced in childhood. And every family has rules around money. So, that it could be the rule is that you need to work really hard to get your money, or money comes easy to us, or it's okay to spend money on these things, but not on these things. Or it's okay for dad to spend money on these things, but mum and the kids are at a different level and they're not allowed to spend money. So there's certain rules that we grow up with, and that forms part of our money mindset and our beliefs. And it's very different. You can have 3 children in a house and they're all going to interpret those experiences and events in very different ways, and it just forms part of their mindset and their belief, and that's what drives them going forward. And so some beliefs can be really positive, whereas others can be quite limiting and quite destructive to your finances.
So how do you find out whether you do have limiting beliefs?
Oh, we all have limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. But I guess for people that feel like, listening, and they might think, oh, maybe I do have a limiting belief that's actually stopping me from achieving my financial goals. Like, how would they drill down to the point where they can actually work out what their limiting beliefs are and actually understand that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's actually a really complex and difficult thing to do, because some of our beliefs are visible and some are invisible. So some live in our consciousness and some live in our subconsciousness. And unless you actually do the internal work and really actually break down to what do I truly believe about money, we just go on and it's in our blind spot, and we don't understand. And the brain is an amazing organ, so it's more powerful than any computer that's ever been invented in the world. And it's kind of like a GPS. So what it does is it takes us on this path of where our brain knows that we want us to go. But the problem is, And that sounds great, doesn't it? It's like, yeah,
If
GPS.
If we're giving the brain the right instructions.
That's right. Like, what address are we giving the GPS system? And the problem is the address that you gave the GPS system, you actually gave it to them between the ages of 5 and 12. So it's most likely that your 8-year-old self is making all your financial decisions for you.
It's pretty scary when you put it that way.
Very scary. Yeah.
Do you think, it's even hard to think back to that time in your life to think what could have shaped the way you feel about money now.
Yeah.
But I guess to be able to find those limiting beliefs, you sort of have to go back there.
You really have to go back. So I get clients to go through a timeline and think of their very first memories around money and backtrack and go forward. We don't live life, we live patterns. So when you go through and actually look at your timeline, you can actually see patterns. So when I do it with clients, I can see this pattern repeating over and over again. And if I could share with you a client, just to give a demonstration of it.
Yeah.
So I was working with someone that were in their 40s and they just couldn't save money. So they found it really challenging. They earned really good money, they bought lots of expensive things and they had a great life. They travelled a lot and had, lots of money, but just could never really save money. Yeah. And so we went back and did that exercise.
It's quite common.
Yeah, absolutely, quite common. But there's always a reason why, and it comes down to the mindset. So for this particular woman, it worked out that when she went back and had a look at her earliest memories, her mother and father separated and her father took all of the money out of her school banking. So her money was taken away from her.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later...
That's a pretty sad thing
that's
to
a very
have
sad
thing
happen. And you think of like a 7-year-old child having their money taken away from them, their savings, their school bankings. And for those of you that have children, you know how proud they are to
putting
have
$1
their school
a
banking
week
and
into
putting
their
their
school
money
banking.
away. That's right. And so a lady came and lived with this particular woman, and she was there for some time and then left all of a sudden, and she'd taken money out of her mum's drawer that she'd been saving there. So single mum, money in a drawer, been saving. So she was completely aware. She was in her 40s and hadn't even thought about these memories until we went through this process. And her money belief, have a think about it. Money's not safe to save. I can't protect my money. They were her limiting beliefs.
So she sort of subconsciously thought that if she saved money, eventually it would be taken away from her. So what's the point of saving?
That's right. And as we went through her adulthood, she had 2 main relationships with partners. Both of them, when they separated, took money out of her savings. They had joint savings account and it took tens of thousands of dollars.
Like you said, a repeating pattern that has constantly reaffirmed this limiting belief that she has, which was stopping her from saving.
That's right.
So then how did she overcome that limiting belief, I guess, to then get to a point where she was really happy and comfortable to save money?
Yeah. So the first step is awareness. She had no idea. She was like 8 years old when that happened, or when those events happened.
Was that a real light bulb moment
so it was
for
just
her?
like, wow. And every client has it. So that's her story, but we've all got our own money story.
Yeah.
So it's about finding out your money story by going through.
It must be so uplifting when you realise that it's actually not your fault.
Yeah, that's
and that
right.
there is something back there that wasn't necessarily driven from you, that you can actually realise that, okay, this is what's been holding me back. Like you said, awareness. And then actually be able to move forward.
Yeah, that's
that must be like, do you see that moment where
it's just like
the weight's lifted off the shoulders?
Yeah, that's what they say. It's like, wow, you've shined a light on something that I just couldn't see before, and now that I know it, I can change it. But if we don't know what it is, it's really hard to change, and we just, like I said, we just live these patterns.
Because I do find that often people are quite hard on themselves, especially females, and if they are finding themselves constantly, not developing the habits that they want, or constantly struggling to save, for example, they're blaming it on themselves. They think there's something wrong with them. But in this instance, the example that you just gave, she actually realised that yes, she did have a limiting belief, but that was because of what had happened to her throughout her entire life, but then is now empowered to be able to change that.
That's right. So it's never our fault what happened in our childhood. We were children and we all have a story. I could go through hundreds of stories. So it's not our fault, but it comes a time when it becomes our responsibility to actually find out
Take
what's
action.
not working,
Yeah.
do the internal work to uncover that, and then move forward. But yes, it's very empowering to once you've actually done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a few shout outs. Hi Emily, hi Saneth, hi Katie, Kristen, Peter. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's so nice that you can be live with us today. We are taking questions live, so please put them in the comment section below. And we are going to announce a little freebie and some free time with Karen at the end of this session. So definitely stay online to hear more details about that, because that is a really good bonus for today. So going back to money mindset, how do you think, when someone goes through that process of that light bulb, realizing the limiting beliefs that have been holding them back, and then they've had the weight lifted off their shoulders, how does that mindset shift impact their ability to be able to actually achieve their financial results? Do you see like an instant change, or does it take time? Talk me through that transition.
It's a really good question, Marissa, because if you imagine it, if you're in your 30s or 40s, you've had this belief installed into your mind for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it's
not
not
going to happen overnight. I haven't got a magic wand and we're all fixed.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's having that awareness and actually saying, well, does that belief serve me or does it not serve me? It's like, okay, well, it doesn't. So what's a new belief that I could have instead? And it's just repetition. Our brain loves repetition.
So like going back to the example that you gave, would she have had to replace that belief?
Yes, absolutely.
With something new?
Money's safe. I can protect my money. It's safe to save money. And just going over and over again. She'd write it out and have it everywhere. So your brain just wants to. We're reprogramming rewiring your brain, and that does take time to do that. But
so lots of affirmations.
Having
it around the house, putting it on the toilet door where you can see it all the time.
All the time. Just put it on your phone as a screensaver. I can save money. Money's safe to save. Or whatever your belief is.
Just in terms of what you know about how the brain works, is it important with those things to actually say them out loud to yourself?
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just read them, is it? You have to sort of read it out loud.
Yeah, absolutely. And writing them down, it gives that gravity and the weight to it. So it's not just about thinking it, it's about writing it down, it's about saying out loud, it's about sharing your story, because that's one thing. There's so much shame around money, and we have guilt, and like you're saying, we're so hard on ourselves. So by actually talking to other people, and that's why I call the business women talking finance, because as a society, it's like a bit taboo or a bit, it's icky to talk about money, but it shouldn't be that way, because like Brené Brown says, shame loves being in the darkness, but as soon as you just shine a light on it, actually talk about it and share that, you'll find that there'll be other people having the same experience.
Oh, absolutely. So. It's a really difficult topic for most people, and most people find it challenging to manage money.
Yeah.
There is a small percentage of the population that's really confident with managing their money, but that's the exception, I would say, from what we see. And
that's right. There's actually 8 different money types.
Yeah, tell me about them.
Yeah, so they're called money types or archetypes. So it's like personalities, and it's based on lots of psychological research and neuroscience research. There's 8 different types of money types. So there's a warrior that's really strong, like you're saying, really good at managing money. There's an innocent, which is very childlike, and that might be someone that they sort of haven't grown up properly, and they want someone else to take care of them, and you manage the money. They want to let
someone else manage the money.
That's right. Yeah. So sort of they're in denial. They dig their head in the sand.
Which can work for them if they're in a really stable relationship potentially, but at some point in time, that's really going to let them down.
That's right. Or people like that, those innocents can be taken advantage of as well.
Yeah, which is a bit of a worry.
Yeah, because think a child very naive and childlike.
They just trust that the other person has their best interests at heart.
That's right. Whereas a warrior is very strong, they're disciplined, they're focused, they're goal orientated, they're really financially successful.
Yeah.
But it is a money type, it's a personality, so you either have it or you don't have it. And then we have others that are victims, and they've had some pretty terrible things happen to them in their life. So they turn that pain inwards on themselves. And then there's others that are a martyr, and they do everything for everyone else, and they're always the one shouting the drinks at the bar, and I'll buy this for you, and not actually thinking
and not
of
having
themselves,
anything left for themselves.
Yeah, so that's the martyr. Lots of mums are martyrs too. It's like, we'll do everything for our kids, but when it comes to spending money for ourselves, we put ourselves last. So that's the martyr. There's the fool, so very happy-go-lucky, happy to spend money and live for today and not put away for the future. There's another one that's a creator artist, so they're more on the spiritual side and find the material world quite challenging to live in. And then there's a magician, which is very evolved. So there's lots of different money personality types. And the beauty about them is that it's just where you are in your journey. It's not who you are, but you carry those traits, and those behaviours actually drive your financial decision-making process based on that personality type. And that's why some people are really good with money and some people find it a bit challenging.
So can people change their money type?
Absolutely, and that's what I help people do. Yeah. So they come to me, we work out what personality they are. They're normally one or two lead ones. Yeah. Now we're going to go, well, which are the best ones going to be suited for you to actually achieve your financial goals? So I help them shift with practical exercises and emotional exercises to move from, say, the innocent or the martyr to becoming a warrior, or becoming a magician. So
I'm sort of just going into the minds of the people that are watching, and they're probably thinking, oh, I wonder what money type I am. Which leads nicely onto the fact that Karen's offered a very generous gift to our listeners and viewers today, in that you can actually do her money type quiz for free, and in the blog that we post you will have the link to the money type quiz, and you'll be able to do that and find out what your money type is. So you'll be able to find out what money type you fit into currently. Doesn't mean it's your permanent money type, but what you fit into currently. Yeah. And who doesn't love a good quiz? I've done it myself and I found it really interesting. So I think it's really, really good. It's a little multiple. Oh no, it's not a multiple choice.
It's like a tick box thing. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's really easy. So definitely recommend that you do that.
And if you've got a partner and you are opposites with money, get them to do the quiz too. It's quite a bit
that
of a
giggle. That would be quite interesting. And Karen's also offered the Rise High community a free 20-minute Zoom consult that we will give you the link on how you can book your free consult with her, which is a very generous and amazing gift for all the Rise High community. So please take advantage of that. If you think that you're feeling like there's something holding you back from achieving those financial goals, but you're not quite sure what it is, maybe it is some of these limiting beliefs or the money type that you're currently sitting in that could be stopping you from achieving everything that you want. So definitely it is worth looking into that. So Karen, I guess just to sum it up, are there any points that you'd like to leave our viewers with today in terms of why money mindset's so important, how they can build a healthy relationship with money? Any sort of last tips that you want to leave our viewers with today?
Yeah, I guess successful money management comes down to managing your emotions as well as managing your money. So if you think of $1 coin or $100 note, there's two sides to it, and there's two sides to our relationship with money too. There's the practical side, paying down your mortgage, using debt to leverage and wealth creation. But then there's another side, the emotional side. And so for some people, it's quite a positive experience. For others, it's a bit of overwhelm. There's too much information. You get stuck and paralyzed in fear and do nothing, which is the worst thing because, you're too fearful of making mistakes. But time and money go really well together. So by putting things off and waiting longer than you should, that's actually detrimental to you. So it's about looking at the emotional relationship you've got with money and actually finding out what is it that's holding me back, and it might be just little things that you can tweak and change those behaviours to move forward to have that financial success and reach your true financial potential rather than being on this roller coaster of up and down.
Well, I've loved our chat today. I think it's so great to know that no matter where you are, there is always a way that you can improve your relationship with money. And you've given us some great tips today on how to do that, and I hope that you all go and do the money quiz and book in those free consults
Yeah,
with Karen,
we'll
because
unpack
I just
the quiz.
think.
We'll look specifically at your results.
And
I'll
just
give you
to
a couple of
clarify,
strategies.
your business is Women Talking Finance, but you do also
I do
offer
guides
this
too.
to men, because it's just as important for men as well,
Absolutely.
So that's fine if you get
fine.
some men
very
that do the quiz. Look, thank you so much, Karen, for joining us. It's been really nice to have a chat. And just a quick reminder before we sum up that we do have 2 seminars coming up. We've got our first home buyer seminar tomorrow night, which only have a few seats left, and we've only got a few seats left for our property investment seminar, How to Choose the Right Investment Property, next week. So hop onto our website if you want to register for either of those. And thank you once again to the entire Rise High community for your support and loyalty, and for allowing us to win Mortgage Broking Business of the Year again for the second time in a row at the Mortgage and Finance Awards. That's all for us for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you've got any questions for us, of course, we would love to help you out. We will post a link to the blog below where you can get your access to the free money type quiz and your free Zoom consult with Karen. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.